Welcome back in, flag throwers. It is Friday, July 18th, and we have a very, very special guest for you today. He is the host of the Locked On Ravens podcast. He's a contributor to the Ravens Wire, and this dude is just all ball all the time, so I'm very, very excited to have him on the podcast today. It is our friend Kevin Oestreicher. Kevin, how are you, my man?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you guys having me. I'm excited that football is pretty much all the way back. We know for the Ravens, the Vets Report on Tuesday for training camp, and hopefully we're done with the revenge tours from the Ravens side of things. I'm tired of the revenge tours. Let's actually get a Super Bowl win here so there's no more fuel that has to be added to any fire here.
Oh my gosh, I know. I've been on this show standing on business every time for Lamar, saying that he is going to retire as Super Bowl champion. You cannot tell me otherwise. It's going to happen. I don't know if it's this year, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the way that Lamar carries himself and how poised he is and the improvement we've seen from him every year, it's hard to think that he won't win one during the course of his career. Of course, it's not a guarantee. The team has to go out there and perform when it matters. I know that's been a difficult spot for them at times, but I mean, we've seen quarterbacks. I know Peyton Manning is the most obvious comparison. People have kind of drawn the comparison to, Peyton didn't really win a lot early on during his career, and he obviously got a couple under his belt by the time it was all said and done. So not everybody's going to be Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes or these guys that win a Super Bowl in the first couple years of their career. Sometimes it takes some time, but it doesn't matter if you're 23 or 33 when you win it. A championship. So
exactly.
I'm not stressing too much about it, but this year feels like with the roster they have, this is as good of a shot as they've had, I think.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm just so glad to have somebody else on my side because I'm always out here defending myself just by myself. Right. But we're going to ask you a couple questions about your show first off. So, Like I said in the intro, Locked On Ravens, wherever you find us, you can find him. So please go check Kevin out. Does absolutely amazing work. That's why we are excited to have him on the podcast here. But first off, man, how'd you even get the gig with Locked On Ravens?
Yeah, so I was actually a junior going into my senior year at college, and I worked out in LA the summer prior, not actually doing any sports work. I worked for a company that works with YouTubers and building their audiences. If one of the people we worked with, Ryan Toys Review, at the time he was 7 years old. He has a bajillion subscribers, and I helped them with audience retention and product placement. And so I liked being in LA that summer, and so the next summer I tried to go back out there, and I ended up someone who was mentoring me ended up connecting me with one of the Locked On people, and I went out there and worked not just for Locked On but also for ABC TV out in LA. Cool. And so I was in the ABC TV newsroom, but then I also worked as kind of a social media coordinator type. This is when the network was still on the was still scaling up to what it was. And then at the end of the summer, I noticed the Ravens show didn't have a host, and I just kind of, my boss and we met at a Starbucks every week out in LA, and I kind of mentioned in passing, almost jokingly, oh, hey, if you need a Ravens guy, I know my stuff, been a lifelong fan, yada, 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 and he said, oh, seriously? And I was like, oh, I guess so, I guess seriously, and so I submitted a couple of demo tapes to him and the network. I had no radio experience, no TV, none of that, no hosting, and I kind of just jumped in head first. I started my senior year of college. I did it from my dorm room. I actually graduated during 2020, and that was obviously COVID, and so I was able to go home and still do it from where I was, and from there just kind of build out my career. I had an opportunity lined up out of college, but that ended up falling through due to the fact that everybody couldn't hire anyone because of everything going on in the world.
Right.
And I've just kind of built it up from there where, started off small, only audio form. The network scaled up to video form a couple of years later. And it's been awesome to kind of see everything grow from where I was to where it is now. It's been great.
Yeah, man, you've been absolutely crushing it. But I don't know if he's a recurring guest or a once-a-week co-host. Man, how's it working with Q? That is such a cool person to have on every week.
Yeah, Q and I have been working together for about 4 years now, and he's awesome. He and I have developed such great chemistry together, and actually now there's the main show, which is Locked On Ravens 5 days a week, and now we just added a couple of weeks ago the Ravens Squad show, which is a live component, 7:30 Eastern every Monday and Thursday, and Q is now on that with me as well, alongside Sam and Joku. So it's us three there, But Q's awesome. Obviously, he was a part of that 2000 Super Bowl champion team, which was known for its defense. But Q was holding it down on offense and one of the key contributors there. And so he has a background in sports performance and movement now, which is it's really great to be able to pick his brain on the injuries that happened. And we know the Ravens, they like suffering their fair share of injuries every year. So it's good to have Q on and get his analysis and expertise on that. And so someone at the network who used to work with Q over at ESPN when he was there connected me with him, and we did a show together. He was just a guest at that point. I just thought it was maybe going to be a one-time thing, and I'd be totally happy with it. But Q and I ended up really enjoying that show and really parlayed it into what it is today.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, first time I heard him come on your show, I was like, oh, whoa, that's sick. What a guy to have on. But, he's a part of that 2000 team, and so you were relatively our age. So who was your first ever favorite Raven?
First ever favorite Raven, I mean, it's going to sound cliche, but it was Ray Lewis. I mean, I just feel he was the man. Ed ended up kind of overtaking him a couple years later. But I mean, you can't really go wrong with either of those two. And then my favorite Raven of all time actually is someone that, we might be here for 5 hours. You kind of running through rosters. Donnell Ellerby is my favorite Raven of all time. Yeah, so I love an underdog story. Coming out of Georgia, he was an undrafted guy, and I'm like a sicko. I watch all the preseason games, do all the tape work, all that on everybody. And so I was like, man, this guy has something to him. I don't know what it is, but he has something to him. And so he made the team as an undrafted rookie and kind of held it down for them. Was a big part of that 2012-2013 squad next to Ray Lewis. Had the pressure on Kaepernick on that play to Crabtree that went out of the end zone. And he's a guy who was devastated when he left for Miami. Once they won it, but. He's my all-time favorite Raven. But, yeah, I think what really got me into it, I was watching, my dad was watching a Super Bowl one year. I had no idea what sports was. And I was like, oh, what's that? And so my dad kind of got me into it. And then from there, obviously, being from Baltimore, it was Ravens all the way. And, it was Ray. It was Ray the whole way for me, which is, it's really cool to see how he still has an impact. He still kind of is involved with the team. And, yeah, I definitely say Ray was my first Raven.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Also, as a Maryland kid, man, represent. I had to wear it for you, man. My childhood favorite Raven, obviously, the first one I think was like you, was obviously Ray Lewis because he's laying the boom. But I think my all-time favorite Raven that isn't like Ray Lewis, believe it or not, is Torrey Smith. He actually, my family just absolutely loved Torrey Smith when we drafted him because same thing, his story and he was an electric playmaker. My grandfather even named his dog Torrey. So when he left for the Niners, my family was in shambles over it, dude. Yeah. Still to this day, man, Torrey Smith is royalty in our family. So that's really cool. Donnell Ellerby, that was not on my bingo card of who you were gonna pick, man. I could have seen you being a Todd Heap guy.
Yeah, he was the man,
Yeah, he was.
We know the Ravens are a tight end you in a way, so they've had their fair share of guys.
He crawled so Dennis Pitta could walk. I get it, yeah. Yeah. But Jordan's got the next couple questions for you.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So my first one, what's the coolest interview you've ever done, or your favorite interview that you've done?
Oh, that's a good question. So I've talked to a couple of Ravens. The one. It's hard, but since I did this one in person, I think it takes the cake. I was able to go over, the Marriott was doing a Ravens room at their location downtown, and they had me come in and interview Anquan Bolden in person. So it was this whole promotion they were doing. So essentially, if you came into town and you wanted to get the whole Ravens experience, you could stay in this hotel suite. It was Ravens everything. The headboard was a field, football, everything in there. And so Anquan, I guess, was doing a partnership with them, and so they invited some media people down to interview him. And so it was only about 10, 15 minutes, and just being able to do that, that was my first time ever doing something like that, and that was so kind of a monumental moment in my career for me. And I mean, look, I'll just out myself right now. I'm a short dude. I'm 5'7". It is.
Hey,
what it
whoa!
Is.
No short king slander.
Short kings unite. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no short kings slander here.
Right? That's right. But Anquan is this huge dude. His hands are 3 times the size of mine, and I'm just looking up at him like this. And they let us actually sit on the foot of the bed to do the interview, so I wasn't looking up at him with a mic the whole time. But these guys and the people I work with, even like I do some work over at the Ryan Ripken show. These dudes are like 6'6", and I'm sitting here like a foot shorter than them, and I'm just like, man, can you give me like one or just a centimeter or two to help me, in my journey
right,
here?
wear some platforms.
Yeah, exactly. But Anquan Boldin, I think, would definitely, Ronnie Stanley, Marcus Williams when he first came to Baltimore. Mark Andrews was one that was cool, but the fact that Anquan was in person, I think, takes the cake.
Yeah,
dude,
fair enough.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you for that. As a Steeler fan, I gotta say I do like Anquan. I like Anquan.
He was a dude, man. Yeah.
What are your other favorite sports teams? I don't know if you're like an O's fan or.
Yeah. So I am an O's fan. It's been a rough year for the Orioles.
That's why we're talking football.
Yeah.
And it honestly is disappointing because with the way the O's have been competitive over the last handful of years, it's been a shift where I think once football season ended, everyone just was waiting for football season to begin again because of how bad the Orioles were. There wasn't any anticipation for baseball season. Whereas with the way they've been competitive, it's like, all right, now you have something to hold you over until football season comes back. But this year it's been extremely disappointing. So Orioles, but actually I'm a huge Denver Nuggets guy.
Really?
Okay.
The Nuggets are my team. Like, that's like the team for me. Obviously I cover the Ravens. I'm a fan of the Ravens and that and whatnot, but the Nuggets are like the team. And the story behind that, it's just literally when I was 7, I wanted a favorite basketball team. All my friends liked the Wizards, and I wanted to be different. So I went through and I picked the Nuggets just based off their name. I'm like, oh, the Nuggets, that's a fun name. I like that name.
Fair
So
enough.
I've literally just been loyal to them ever since. And
Well,
I guess
that
I got rewarded for it.
Yeah.
With Jokic in the championship a couple of years ago. It was rough early on there, but I'm a big Denver Nuggets guy. I mean, I guess for that, I'm an off and on Anaheim Ducks fan. Same reason, I just picked the Ducks. I guess if there are any Premier fans, Arsenal is my team. And I can get very controversial depending on who you root for in the Premier League. But
yeah, they're not
Ravens,
very
Orioles, and Nuggets are the big three for me, which I know is kind of unorthodox considering the Nuggets are in there. But yeah, those are my teams.
I thought you were going to say because of
I think that's
Carmelo
cool.
Anthony.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he was there when I started off. I mean, Melo, I think that helped.
electric.
The fact that
Yeah.
he
I was about to
there.
say, I know that.
Maryland connection, and those powder blues are like they go triple platinum. You got the Denver Nugget jeans meme, which is a legendary meme. So there's some history behind it, but number 15. If you wear number 15 for the Nuggets, you're probably gonna have a pretty good career. So
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I got one more I'm going to say before we get into some of Cole's questions. Who is your favorite non-Raven?
oh, that's a really good question.
Really good question, Jordan. Hell yeah.
Yeah, man, I might have to think about that one for a second. There are a couple I could pick for this, both current and former. I guess currently, I love Saquon Barkley.
Okay.
I think
Yeah,
How
from
could
a
you
on-field
not?
perspective,
Good one.
Saquon is awesome. I think I'll go with Justin Jefferson for my
JJ.
current guy. I think he just edges out Saquon a little bit for me just because he's so electric, and I know there's a big debate now about who's better between Jamar and Justin Jefferson, but I feel like to me Justin Jefferson is that dude. Oh man, I think for me,
Well, here, I'll help you fill some time while you think. I just want it on the record. As a Ravens fan who watches Jamar Chase put 202 tuds on her head every single game,
please.
Justin Jefferson is still better. I don't care. Even when Jamar's playing the Ravens, I still think Justin Jefferson's a better receiver.
Yeah.
So I'll just throw that on out there.
okay, I have two former ones. Thank you for helping me fill the time.
You're good, I got you.
LaShawn McCoy
Oh,
was my guy.
Shady.
That's a shout out
Yes,
right
sir.
there.
Yeah, Shady was my guy, and I'm a big fantasy football player, so every year when he was on the Eagles, it would just be Shady. I didn't care where I was picking, it'd just be Shady all the time. He was electric, but one that's kind of, maybe not on the forefront of people's minds. I loved Ronnie Brown when he was in Miami.
Really? That's an
Ronnie
underrated
Brown
pick.
was a dude. Yeah, I just remember Ronnie Brown. But a story I have about another former running back, LaDainian Tomlinson, I used to love. His LT was like the electricity.
LT's the
I
man.
remember he was
That's
maybe
my
like,
favorite.
He was like second year in the league, third year in the league, and he was just beating up on the Ravens every time he played him. And I got so tired of LT. And I asked him, I said, Dad, how old is, when is LaDainian Tomlinson going to retire? And he kind of, like the shoulder, like he put his hand on my shoulder and said, probably not for a while. It's probably not going to happen he was like 22 or something.
Don't
And I was
forget,
just
Ray
like-
Lewis blew him up in the hole on 4th down. Okay, you got that over him.
Yeah, it was him or Darren. I can't remember if it was him or Darren Sproles, but it was
I
one
thought it was
of
LT.
the two.
Yeah,
But-
still LT is my answer for the
Dude.
favorite non-Raven.
LT
So,
was crazy.
man of class. But we'll get back into a little bit more current football. You kind of already mentioned them, and I already mentioned how they torch the Ravens every time they play them. But are the Cincinnati Bengals pretenders or contenders for this AFC North?
They're pretenders. They're pretenders. And look, it's no fault of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, or T. Higgins. You have a squad with those three. It's just you literally have nobody else. And I'm not counting Trey Hendrickson right now because I don't know what the heck's about to happen with Trey Hendrickson.
Or their first-round pick.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but I think they should have fired Zach Taylor 2 years ago. Zach Taylor and Brian Dable are my two coaches that I just don't know how they still have jobs, and I honestly don't expect them to at the end of this season. But the defense is just horrible, and they didn't do anything in my eyes to improve it to where you need to just from a Ravens perspective, stop Lamar Jackson. But everybody's talking about them as like the big four. It's the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, and then people throw the Bengals in there. And I'm just like, are we still riding off of that Super Bowl that Joe Burrow went to a couple of years ago? I don't see it to where, yes, that offense can put up 35 on you in a hurry. Like, we know they're that good. But the defense is going to give up 38. I mean, that's what we saw both times when the Ravens played the Bengals, and I don't see. I like the Steelers better than I like the Bengals this year. The Steelers aren't as flashy as the Bengals are on offense, but I just think they're a more consistent team. And your offense can be great, but, at the end of the day, I don't like Zach Taylor and his role. I think the Bengals in the 5 years or however long it's been since he's been the head coach.
5 is right.
Yeah, they can't win games. I think they're 1-9 in their week 1, week 2 games over the course of Zach Taylor's tenure. I remember they lost the Patriots in week 1 last year, and that was like, okay, really, you're losing to New England with a rookie quarterback in his first ever start. I love the big three they have there, but it's not just about. It's like if the Ravens had Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and Zay Flowers, and then nobody else. They could do something for you. But is that well-rounded team that they're playing in the divisional round, let's say, are they going to beat them? Probably, because you need to have more than just your star power. And so I just don't see it with the Bengals this year. And, maybe they'll prove me wrong, but, it's like Shark Tank. I'll say I'm out on the Bengals this year.
You kind of brought up the second part of my question. I was going to ask the same thing for the Steelers. How are you buying into this Aaron Rodgers and Jalen Ramsey? And I know TJ just got paid 2 hours ago or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But you buying into this all-in season from the Steelers?
I loved their offseason except for the fact that they gave away their talent to get talent.
Minka.
When they when they traded for DK Metcalf, I was like, okay, like you're working with something here because you got DK and now it's George Pickens next to him. And look, I get the whole thing with Pickens and the reasons they moved off of it. Like I get why they did it, right? I get it. But last year it was George Pickens and friends, and like Pickens was that whole passing attack, and Calvin Austin's underrated. The Ravens wanted Calvin Austin and the Steelers nabbed him. Calvin Austin is a really good player for them, but I feel like that offense with Rodgers, Metcalf, Pickens, Austin, and Jalen Warren, you bring
Caleb
in another
Johnson.
running back, Caleb Johnson to replace Najee Harris, and then now with Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith, Darnold, like it's a good offense there. But now that you move off of Pickens, you're back to essentially DK Metcalf and friends. Plus, I guess Jonnu Smith is now in that equation. It's the same thing on defense, where that move went through for Jalen Ramsey, and before anyone knew it was from Minka Fitzpatrick, I'm like, okay, yeah, like you're cooking with something here. You get Jalen Ramsey in there. You've already signed Darius Slay. You can work Joey Porter Jr. into different roles now, but then you move off of Minka, and it's like you're taking 2 steps forward to go 1 step back, where I think the Steelers really could have set themselves up better than they did. Not that they didn't get better. I think that they did. I think that overall Rodgers will be at least a slight upgrade from what Russell Wilson gave the Steelers, at least at the end of the season. It was awful for them. They really fell off a cliff there. But I think, to me, the Ravens and the Steelers are going to be vying for that top spot in the AFC North. I think it is the Ravens' division to lose. Now, no team has won the AFC North 3 years in a row ever, so the Ravens will be gunning for that this season. It might just be a curse. Who knows? Maybe every
Don't
team
say
that wins
that.
it twice.
God, don't say
I was
that.
about to say,
I'm reverse jinxing it. We're calling it a curse. So
I
it's
will
not.
say, barring any injuries, knock on wood, I got you guys winning the division. I
And that's the
definitely have
key.
a second. I
It's
think you
always
guys.
health. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think you guys are the top team in the AFC, especially on paper.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Well, that kind of like leads into another question I had. I could just bump it up here. So, how do we prevent another Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl? Like, do the Bills and the Chiefs have to take each other out, and then we clean up the scraps, or like, how is this gonna work? How do we avoid the Chiefs getting back to it again?
I think this is the year that I feel the most confident that the Ravens or the Bills, whoever it is, can dethrone the Chiefs here. Now, if it is like the Bills and the Chiefs play in the divisional, it's kind of like last year, right? Where it was the Ravens and the Bills. One of those teams was going to get knocked out. We knew the Chiefs were probably going to advance to the championship game. So the Chiefs didn't have to see the Ravens or the Bills until the AFC Championship game, which I think worked in their favor overall. But
Definitely.
the thing with the Chiefs is there are two sides of the coin to them in terms of where they are right now, and honestly what happened last year. Good teams find ways to win games, especially close ones in very unorthodox ways. But man, they just did it every single week. They were nearly perfect. That Broncos blocked field goal at the end. Crazy stuff was happening every single week. I don't know if they can replicate that, especially because while I think they had a really good draft and upgraded in a couple of key positions, they also are getting older. Mahomes hasn't been as dominant the past couple of years. He's still really good. He's still really dominant, but he hasn't been like the elite top level. Like, to me, I think Lamar and Josh Allen, and honestly, you can make an argument for Joe Burrow. Like, last year, Mahomes was the fourth best quarterback in the AFC behind those three. So that's still enough, especially because you still have Kelsey, who, admittedly, he's slowing down a little bit too, right? He's not the same Travis Kelsey that he was. But Rashee Rice and Marquise Brown and Xavier Worthy, that's a good wide receiver trio. We'll see what the verdict is in terms of the NFL's punishment for Rashee Rice, which is expected to come down here. He might miss that Ravens game, which, is coming up early in the season. So, we'll see. But I think that, it could just be the Bills and Chiefs playing the divisional round, and then if you feel like the Ravens have a better shot against the Bills in the championship game, you can, I don't blame you because of the way that the Ravens haven't been able to beat the Chiefs. But they also, in the playoffs at least, haven't been able to beat the Bills. They're 0-2 against Josh Allen in the playoffs. So either way, you're going to have to see probably one of these teams, but I like it that way. Like, you have to beat the best, you have to beat the best. Get that, got a chip on your shoulder, make sure that you can beat who you need to beat. I'd rather have it be like that 2012-2013 Super Bowl was so rewarding because of who they beat. Like, they went into Denver and beat the Peyton Manning-led Broncos. That team was historic. And then they go to Foxborough, redemption for the AFC Championship game that we don't talk about here in Baltimore with two names that I'm not going to mention, right? you go in and you beat the Patriots in Foxborough when they had the billboards up in Boston. Oh, Ray Lewis retirement party, Ray Lewis, and then they went in there and they beat them. And then with the 49ers, the horrible. So if you had a path where, you play, like, I thought last year was perfect, where if they had beaten the Steelers, who were your arch division rival, the Bills, who you beat badly the first time around, but that's like Lamar versus Josh Allen MVP battle, and then you beat the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl, I thought that was perfect. But, if they want to play it easy too and just beat up on bad teams, I'm not going to complain. The championship's a championship. I don't care how you win it. So either way, the Ravens will probably have to see some good teams here.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned good teams. Is there like a particular team in the whole NFL that you think is like a sleeper this year that you think's gonna not have a rise like the Commanders did, but like a team that's gonna surprise some people?
Yeah, there are a couple, and I want to actually first of all declare I have been in on the Dolphins for like 4 years now.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I am done with the Dolphins.
Why did they not ask for a draft pick? They have no cap space, and they traded for a expensive Minka.
I just So we'll start off with that. Which team am I not in on? The Dolphins. I'm actually declare them done.
They're like the 4-star version of the Bengals.
I know, and it wasn't even. I'm not even like that big of a Tua guy. I just I felt like with the vets they added, and you have Hill and Waddle, and you finally HN is awesome. I thought that you could get something with those guys, but that is what it is. I'm really big on what the Vikings did this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I feel like the Vikings are that dark horse team. Now, it depends on J.J. McCarthy. Like, McCarthy's going to make or break this year for them. How ready is he? Can he step up? Is, I guess, air quotes, a rookie. Technically, it's the second year, but still. That's going to be tough, but if you have situations, like if you look across the league at situations for rookie quarterbacks or young quarterbacks that are on rookie contracts, I don't think you can get better than what J.J. McCarthy has in Minnesota with Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson. They really went all in on the offensive line. They brought in guys to protect J.J. McCarthy. I mean, I think to me, and everyone look, in the NFC North, people are talking about the Lions, rightfully so. I don't know, 15 wins is tough. I think they're probably going to regress from that win total.
They're going to regress to like 13.
Yeah, they're still going to be really good. And then the Packers, and then everybody is talking about Caleb Williams. But nobody's really talking about Minnesota. Plus, they improved the defensive line, too. So, if there's a dark horse team, you know what? I'm going to say it's Minnesota. I really like what they did.
That's crazy. They won 14, 15 games in their dark horse.
I know. Seriously. Right?
What a time we live in, dude.
And just to
I want to ask you this question because you mentioned Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to piggyback because I thought it was a good transition. Just to piggyback off that before Cole asks his next question, since you gave us your biggest sleeper, who's your most overrated team?
I'll give you a different answer because it is the Bengals, but I'll save that one, and we just talked about them, so I'll give you another one. I do not know what people see personally in the 49ers this year.
Oh,
I'm not a big Brock Purdy guy. Like, I'm not a big Brock. And look, you have to rely on guys not getting injured, right? Like, McCaffrey, we know he's like one of the best in the league when he's healthy. But there's such a swing and miss with that seemingly every other year. And I guess, maybe if you want to call last year the miss year and this year will be the good year, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But you move off of Debo, who was slowing down a little bit in San Francisco, and it felt like they had to move off of one of Ayuk or Samuel. But Ayuk is coming off a serious injury. You're going to have to rely a lot on Ricky Pearsall and George Kittle to carry that offense. Their offensive line will hold it down for them. That'll be fine. Defensively, it's really going to have to be Fred Warner and Nick Bosa who help you out there. But, I still think it's the Rams division. Really it's... To me, Seattle, I am a little bit higher on than some people. Not that I'm a huge Sam Darnold guy, but there's a world where, again, these guys finish like third in the division, and they don't really have the year that people are expecting. Because I think everybody's penciling them in to be like, oh, they're going to challenge the Rams, and they're going to win like 12 games this year. Ooh. I just think it's a lot harder of a path. Where I'm not saying they can't be good, but I think there are a lot more variables than people think there are about how they can actually get to that level.
Oh, man,
Thank you.
Good answer.
All right, Cole. Go take it away.
So you mentioned him earlier, and Jordan and I constantly butt heads over this. And I want to preface this question by saying, I know he's going to get in. It's not that I don't think he is, but in my opinion, Russell Wilson is not a Hall of Famer. What's your take on that? He played himself out of it, in my opinion.
No.
Whenever you have these conversations, it's tough because... the guy, first of all, championship is going to help your case no matter what. And it's not just that Russ won a championship, it's that he has been to multiple. And the fact that, he has elevated talent around him forever, at least when he was in Seattle, right?
Yep.
Now, the thing that you can maybe make a case for is that the Denver years were so terrible for him. But
Pittsburgh was terrible,
shift.
too.
Well, yeah.
I would just say it was that first Denver year.
But end of the year, yeah, it was... Yeah, it did get better the second year. I mean, going from 4-11, when he started to 7-8 is a big improvement. But I think that, to me, the Seattle years do carry that weight, and I think that there is grace. I mean, maybe he's not like a first ballot guy with that all going on with Denver and Pittsburgh, but I think there is still a shot that it could happen, and I think that eventually he will get in.
I think he's getting in, but I don't think he should, because... So the Hall of Fame is like the best of the best. I mean, we're talking Ray Lewis, Tom Brady, Deion Sanders, like the cream of the crop. And this guy, Denver Broncos paid $80 million to kick him the hell out of town. And that guy deserves to share a hall with Deion Sanders, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Tom Brady. You're crazy. What Hall of Famer, what team pays $80 million to get rid of a Hall of Famer?
Man, we're seeing it all over the place now. I mean, yeah, it's more a basketball thing, like, with the buyouts and everything.
Yeah.
Recently, but,
no, football is where it's not normal.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point where, like, should you have to have a long sustained like elite career for the entirety, maybe save for 1 or 2 years. But now it's year 4 of, it's 2 years in Denver, the one in Pittsburgh, and then this one with the Giants. Is that enough where you can say 4 mediocre to bad years compared to his, 10 in Seattle, maybe 11 in Seattle? I can't remember the exact number or how long he was there for. Yeah, I think it was 10. But is 4 mediocre to bad years enough to supplant what you did over 10 really good, Pro Bowl plus the championship? Like, it's a debate, but I still think he does get it.
I mean, he was barely top 5, like, at his peak, like, in the NFL. So
he wasn't, like, greatest of all... Yeah, he wasn't, like, greatest of all time, but, he still was. I think, again... it's not revisionist history, but I think it's what even known for me now. Like, that's what the league is, where, we haven't seen that Russell Wilson in 4 years. Like, we don't really remember what he was like, where, you turn on a highlight, turn on the tape, and you can see, like, there's that mobility and the escapability and the throws. I remember, man, the Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett, like, I remember, those were the days in Seattle.
He was good then.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, again, not like he was... Brady, Manning, like all-time
Big Ben,
that type
Drew
of talent,
Brees,
but he was still holding his own in Seattle. I just think it's been so long since we've seen that version of him. It's given people kind of like, was he really ever like that? Because he's so bad now. Was he really ever like that? But he was like that for a time.
It's tough for me to vote in a guy to like share a hall with the names that we just mentioned. Brady, Manning, Big Ben, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees. Like, even Phillip Rivers was better than him in that time. That's 6 right there. Like,
I don't know if I can put Phil over him in that time.
I'd put Phil in before Russ.
Phil's putting up the numbers he was, bro.
Phil only had 1 bad year.
Phil played longer, but Russ put up better numbers.
Carry weight, which...
But Phil was always slinging that thing. He couldn't help that the defense was trash. It's the Joe Burrow argument all over again.
You could argue the same thing with some of the Seattle teams, especially after the Legion of Boom was done.
Yeah, but I don't remember the Legion of Boom throwing an interception on the 2-yard line.
Very true.
That'll also follow him. Yeah.
Very true.
Yep.
Oh, man, we could talk about this for a whole nother hour, Kevin. But Jordan has our signature question for you before we get into our little game.
What is your boldest sports take?
Could be any sport.
Any sport.
Oh.
Like, what's a hill you're going to die on?
Man, okay, actually, I was considering tweeting this out. Now I'm going to do it because I was asked the question. So
tag us. Tag us in it.
I am going to say that Lamar Jackson is the most overhated athlete of all time.
Yes, my man.
that is, and that's what LeBron, Kobe, like all of these, and everybody, like it's for different reasons. Like, I think all these guys are overhated for different reasons. I think part of it. And especially, this is more so in basketball. Like, you see fan bases. Like, in me being a Nuggets fan, NBA player fan bases, right? Like, the Russell Westbrook player fan base is huge.
Myself included.
It is massive.
Yeah.
There's not, like, there are still player fan bases in the NFL, but I don't think it's to the level of NBA. So when you talk about overhated athletes in the NBA, like, a lot of that is, like, LeBron and Kobe fans arguing, or, like, Russ and KD fans. Like, there's a lot of that. Whereas for Lamar Jackson, to me, like, I am all for, and I do it on, like, my mantra on Locked On Ravens, is, like, I am totally fine to have a fair conversation about Lamar Jackson in terms of criticism. Like, no, he has not been good enough in the playoffs.
He's
there
not
are times
perfect.
and moments
I'll
where
admit it.
he has not been, right? Like, it is a completely fair argument to talk about that with Lamar Jackson. But I think that my big thing with Lamar is that it's either preconceived notions about his rawness at Louisville, or that people took that rawness at Louisville and just completely blew it out of proportion, where we're not talking about a Lamar Jackson that, like, threw for 1,000 yards every year at Louisville and, like, was only running the ball. Like, he was dicing guys up through the air, dicing teams up. I remember, like, that Louisville-Clemson showdown with him and Deshaun Watson, or, like, that Florida State game where he took them down. Like, yes, Lamar Jackson was raw coming out of school. But then you hear the stuff about, teams want him to go to wide receiver. And this is a Heisman winner at the quarterback position who put up historic numbers. GMs, former GMs, talk like Bill Polian was one of the guys early on who was talking about him in negative light. And so I think, to me, it's that preconceived notion that people have it's stayed with them. Mm-hmm. And you just continue. It's like, Lamar, what's it going to take for him not to get that hate? Well, he has to,
Win
an
Super Bowl.
MVP, right? That'll be it. Oh, well, he wins an MVP in the goal put. Now he has to win 2 MVPs. Now he has to win 2. And he wins 2. Nope. Now he has to win 3. And the goalposts just continue to move. Like, he has to get better as a passer. Well, he has. He threw 41
there's
touchdowns
people who still
last
think
season.
he can't throw the ball.
Yes, and it was never true. He just was raw as a passer, which is complete. That's a fair argument. But it wasn't that he was bad as a passer, but he has shifted the way that the quarterback position is looked at. He has been a transcendent talent. You can talk about the dual threat quarterbacks. Obviously him and Michael Vick will always, everybody's all Mike Vick.
Vick was never that good. Vick was never that good.
Exactly.
Not as good as Lamar.
That's exactly the point. You're 100% correct. Where the quarterback position is thought to be played a certain way, and that to me is not correct. Like, the quarterback position, it's not just, guys stay at like the Bradys and Mannings where they had limited mobility and they stay in the pocket and they just, boom, boom, boom. If you can play, you can play. I don't care if you throw for 16 yards or you run for 16 yards. You get 16 yards on the play. I don't care if you throw for a touchdown or run for a touchdown. You get 6 points if you get in the end zone. Like, it doesn't matter to me about Lamar how he picks up the yards, and then he does what people are like, he has to be better like the deep ball, and he's gotten better at the deep ball. He has to throw better outside the numbers, and he's now one of the best outside the numbers throwers in the league. Like, the efficiency is there, the stats are there, he's broken record after record, and so I think, the LeBron conversations and, all of that when it comes to overhated athletes, I think some people just think LeBron is just corny, or him leaving for Miami, like, that soured a lot of people. Like, there are those conversations. I just truly think people don't like Lamar Jackson because they don't like how he plays the game, and I just feel sorry for those people. Like, I get if you, like, for example, Jordan, you're a Steelers fan. I get if you don't like Lamar.
Because, I'm a Lamar fan. Oh no, I'm a Lamar fan.
No, I know, but I'm saying if you don't like him because of, if you're a Bengals fan
for the fandom, I get
Steelers
it. Yeah,
fan, exactly. Like, that is, that's one thing, right? But it's another thing just to hate on a guy to hate on a guy.
Yeah.
And, to me, I think it's ridiculous. So that is, I guess, and I'll tweet this out and I'll tag you in the post below it, and I'm sure there'll be LeBron fans and Kobe fans and all these other fans that'll be in the comment. I actually did something like that last year, and that's what happened. But I think, to me, I'm officially ready to say Lamar Jackson is more hated than LeBron James. It's for different reasons.
I'm with it. My pitchfork is
honestly,
ready.
I don't
I'm
think
ready.
that's the craziest take ever. Yeah.
We already follow you on Twitter, so I'll see that post later tonight when I'm editing.
All right, let's go.
But now it is time for our game. Kevin, I don't know if you are a fan of WWE at all, but I like to give the player, I like to give him a little WWE announcer type entrance because the edition's about them, It's their edition. Yeah. And, you're a Ravens guy, I'm a Ravens guy. And obviously we can't pick Lamar Jackson because he's top 3, not even 3. So I picked my current favorite Raven that isn't named Lamar Jackson. And today's edition of Throw a Flag on the Take when you see a player better than Zay Flowers edition. Let's go, baby. My guy, I am always 10 toes down on Zay. I do not tolerate any Zay slander on any show. I don't care. I show up, I defend Zay, and I roll out. That's just how this goes. This dude's a bona fide one. He is an absolute... This is going to be his year. He's going to shut all the haters up this year. That year 3 jump with Nuke Hopkins as his mentor, dude, like, sign me up. Come on.
Yeah.
So, rules are simple. So, you can either pick Zay Flowers or player 1. If you pick player 1, you're throwing your penalty flag. And then you can pick whoever, and then player 2. If you pick player 2 as well, you can also throw a flag. You can throw a flag on all 10 or none of them if you want to.
Okay.
So player 1 is always the easiest. You're a basketball guy. I always make player 1 like the layup line. Just a little get the juices flowing or whatever. And then player 10, if you pick the addition player over player 10, then we got to have a serious conversation.
Yeah.
So with that being said, a little layup line number 1, Alan Lazard.
Yeah. No flags. That's Zay Flowers.
Jordan?
I'm taking out. No, I'm joking. I'm taking Zay Flowers.
The way I would have drove to your house and we would have gotten this fight would have been crazy. Now, this next player 2, I put him on here just because he was the pick before Zay Flowers. Quentin Johnston.
Good one. Yeah, it's still Zay to me. The stats speak for himself, so no flag.
Oh, yeah.
Quentin No Hands Johnson. Nah, give me Zay Flowers.
Him and Hollywood Brown have the same amount of hands. Zero.
Seriously.
All right, moving on to number 3. Now, this is a guy who's, I would say he's a pretty good number 2, and he's a big body threat. You know, he's starting to get better a little year over year. Alec Pierce.
I'm still going Zay. I just think, I actually had I actually hoped the Ravens would have picked him. Like, he was one of my guys. But I just don't think he's shown enough. Like, he got
That's
better
fair.
as the year went on last year, but I think Zay is more proven at this point.
Oh, yeah. Jordan?
I would definitely like Alec Pierce on my team, but I would take Zay over him any day.
The way I thought you... The way
I'm doing it on purpose. I'm doing it on purpose.
We would have went fisticuffs so quick.
I'm doing it
I
on
swear to
purpose.
God.
I'm doing it on purpose.
All right, number 4. This player moved teams, and then he broke out last year with Kirk 2 Chainz Thuggins out there. That's right. Darnell Mooney is player number 4.
I'm still going Zay. Mooney's a beast, and honestly, I thought that he didn't hit a ceiling in Chicago, so I'm happy he's finding it in Atlanta, but I still got Zay.
Jordan?
I'm a Mooney fan, but I'm going to go Zay.
That's what I thought. All right, now player 5, I put him on here because there's conversations. You know, some people are still really high on this guy, and then some people are like, "Yep, he's washed. I'm over it." So, whether you think he's skinny or whether you think he's fat in this Cliff Kingsbury offense, Deebo Samuel is player number 5
Oh.
because he looked
Man.
washed to me. That's why I put him at
Yeah.
5. He looked washed to me.
I just prime Debo, you take prime Debo.
Oh no, we're
But
talking
I think-
currents.
yeah, current Debo. Yeah, I'll go Zay. It's maybe closer than I thought. Just me thinking out loud here. It's maybe closer than I thought, but I just think right now Zay contributes more. Plus, I think with the injury concerns with Debo,
Oh yeah.
those are still there currently. So I'm gonna go Zay.
Oh yeah. Jordan?
Same thing. If you're talking prime Debo, it's a little bit different. But just with his play style, it's just not sustainable. And Zay's just a little jitterbug. He's going to get open on all levels of the field. So give me Zay.
Yeah, he's a route runner, man. Come on. So this next player 6. So this is a ball knowers question. So this is why I put him on here because I know that you know your stuff, and Jordan, I know you know your stuff as well. This guy is underrated but overrated at the same time. So I'm really intrigued to see where both of you stand on him. Player number 6 is Courtland Sutton.
Ooh.
Oh, see, I like Courtland Sutton a lot more than people like Courtland Sutton.
See,
I just
he's
think
underrated and overrated at the same time.
He is, and he's someone that I think he was like my dream for the Ravens to get last year to complement Zay and Rashad Bateman. So, they're so different. I think that's the thing where I'm just like, which skill set do I value more? Because the thing with Zay is he's a number 1 wide receiver, but he's not he's not your DK Metcalf, AJ Brown build for a number 1 wide receiver. And I think that to me, I don't care about if you can play, you can play. I'm gonna still go Zay. It is so close though. See, I didn't expect this to be as hard as it was. These are good names.
Yeah, man.
I like Zay because I think that, to me, Courtland Sutton, the value that he brings is he is a 3-level receiver that with his body is a jump ball guy. People underrate that he is not just a deep jump ball player. He can also catch a slant and run with it. But to me, I think that Zay's ability and his electricity gives him the edge over Courtland Sutton to me, who I think is just a little more stiff. And that's going to come if you're a big body dude. But I like that skill set a little bit more.
Courtland reminds me like a not as good Anquan Bolden. You were talking about him earlier. Not as good as Q, but it's that same play style. Jordan, who you got here? This is a tough one. This is the whole point of this middle section, man. This is when it gets hot. We had one segment here. I'll fill the air while Jordan's thinking. We had one where Jordan threw 7 flags, and I almost drove to his house. I was over it.
I'm going to take Zay
stumped
still.
him.
I'm going to take Zay.
You're gonna stick with Zay? Okay.
I'm a
all
Cortland
right,
fan,
cool.
bro. Just the catches that he makes are insane. I've seen Cortland moss so many people and just catch the craziest passes. Especially even with Russ being his quarterback, he catches everything. But no, I go Zay.
Yeah, Cortland's that guy for sure. He's definitely underrated and overrated, like I said. Now this player number 7, right? Some could call him the slightly slower white version of Zay Flowers, and I do think this guy is a number 1 at some point in his career. I'm very high on him, which is why he's number 7, but I can see how some people aren't as high on him. Number 7 is Ladd McConkey.
Oh, wow.
Similar skill set.
I have to give it to Zay because of the experience. Zay has had 2 years of the production. Ladd has only had 1. Not that Ladd is not like awesome,
right?
But I think that, to me, I take the experience that Zay has and that he has shown it for 2 years over Ladd. But I think you could be talking in 5 years and Ladd is like a top 5 receiver in the league.
Definitely.
Not that Zay can't be in those conversations, but like that's how much I like Ladd. Like I think
Me too.
awesome.
I'm very high on Ladd.
For just having 1 year of experience, I generally lean more towards experience, so that's why I'm picking Zay.
Okay, Jordan.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I think the Cortland Sutton one was harder for me than this one, only because again,
really,
1 year. It's 1 year.
You're not a Ladd guy, okay?
No, I'm a Ladd guy. I am. I'm just.
Oh, no,
I got to see a little bit more.
It's whatever. You can be a hater. That's fine.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep my flag.
Okay. All right. Yep. Now this next player, number 8. I think if you pick Zay over him, I think it's gonna get a little homerish in here. This guy, speed demon. He's a 1 on like 2/3 of the team, but he happens to be a 2 on the team he's currently on. Jalen Waddle.
Yeah. Man. See, I'll tell you actually a story about Jalen Waddle. I picked him in fantasy last year, and it was a bad year for Jalen Waddle.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want to knock him too much for that, but the game that Jamar had like 56 fantasy points against the Ravens, I actually ended up coming back, and I was only down by like 2 points heading into that Monday Night Football game. I think Dolphins versus, I forget who it was, and Jalen Waddle caught a pass for a yard, so then I was down by 0.9. He caught another pass for no yards, so I was up by 0.0.
Yeah.
No, I ended up going up by like 0.04. Like it was 1 passing yard that I was up by, and then he had a rush for -1 yard, and I lost by 0.04. But
oh, brother, this guy stinks.
Yeah, seriously, I don't know though. I think Zay and Jalen are a little closer than people think. You know what? I'm gonna give it to Zay. I'm gonna give it to Zay. Maybe it's my fantasy football bias, but I'm gonna give it to Zay.
Wow.
It's close though.
Wow, this might be the latest that we haven't had a flag.
If you throw the flag, Jordan, I don't blame you for doing it.
Yeah, this one I'm gonna throw the flag. I'm throwing the flag on this.
I was gonna say I'm surprised both of you didn't jump on this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that it's like a complete wash, but I would rather have Jalen.
Yeah,
Waddle.
for sure.
Yeah.
Man, wow. I think this is the latest that we've had someone not throw a flag. Here we go. All right, number 9. This one should definitely draw the first one because I know I'd rather have this guy over Zay Flowers. Puka Nacua.
Yeah. I'll throw that in.
There we go. Okay.
Puka's a beast, man.
Oh yeah.
Beast. You can't deny it.
Man, he's going to make so much money from the Rams whenever he's due, man. Oh my gosh, that 5th round pick salary in LA too. He's probably not. I saw like
he's probably not seeing a lot of it. But
yeah,
compared to other cities,
they got like a 9% tax. He gonna get his money.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I figured that was like 9 and 10 are supposed to be like pretty like easy ones.
Yeah.
And then number 10, just to like the little D Wade LeBron. I kind of just lob it up so you can just yam it home on him. Number 10 is CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I'm jamming it down.
Yeah,
it's CeeDee. I'm throwing the flag.
I'm two-handing that thing.
Roasted barbecue chicken.
There were rumors that if CeeDee had fallen past Dallas to the Raiders, the Ravens would have traded up for him.
Really?
Yep. It's not been confirmed anywhere, but like that is like something that I think,
like a what if. Like, that's crazy.
That would have been so cool.
The Ravens have had a lot of those too.
Lamar and CeeDee Lamb, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Damn, we definitely would have had a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I know, right?
Definitely would have had a Super Bowl by that point.
Yeah.
Oh, man, Kevin. Well, this has been absolutely so much fun. Like I said, you know ball. That's why we were super pumped to have you come on the show.
Yeah,
You're obviously welcomed on anytime you'd like. We would love to have you on again, especially as football season's approaching. But
Absolutely.
Before we get out of here, go ahead and please plug where people can find you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. This was really, really fun. I'm glad we could make it work out. But yeah, you can find me over on the Locked On Ravens podcast. So we're 5 days a week on Locked On Ravens, 6 a.m. Eastern Time. Every single weekday is when that show comes out. So if you want to watch in video form, you can like and subscribe over on YouTube. It's also available in audio form wherever you get your podcasts. So Apple, Spotify, the whole 9 yards. You can follow along and subscribe over there. I also do some work over at the Ravens Wire, doing some writing about the Ravens and doing some work with the Ryan Ripken Show as well, talking Orioles, Ravens, and the whole 9 yards over there. And then I'll sometimes pop on Bleacher Report and do some stuff for them too. So staying busy all the time, sports all the time, but it's a grind and I love it. So appreciate you guys having me again.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Kevin. And Flag
Yeah,
Throwers, you
absolutely.
know how we end this thing.
We're not going to apologize for winning.
No, we are not. We will see y'all next week. See ya.